They're coming past daily too, by the way. So many of them, if you look at the news, so many things are happening, and almost all of them have come to pass, but have they come to fruition? And that word means this. It's like the prophetic words have been completed if Jesus wanted to come right now. The other side is some of the things that are becoming more and more detailed every time. You're like, oh wow, I see that's deeper. So has it been fulfilled? Prophecy is to be fulfilled, not just come to pass. So it has come to pass, but has it been really fulfilled? And we see things like the nation of Israel and the way it's lining up right now and the way it's returning to its own. There's so many big things on the horizon. This last 2 years, they said there have been more weather changes than at any time in the history of the world. In fact, that things like Hurricane Katrina and some of those things that took place, it actually changed the Earth's rotation a little bit. So even the seasons have been changed in some places to an extreme. I mean, like we were in Dallas the other day. Never before have they had a tornado in Dallas. And a tornado came and it took like a semi-tractor truck and threw them up in the air and all this. And you're looking at places where they never had earthquakes. They're having earthquakes. And so you see the world as well is part of the prophecies. The wars that we have today, it says there'll be wars. There's so many wars, and they say rumors of wars. Right now, we know that the United States has been told by China and some other countries, like, don't bother Iraq about setting up their warheads, about getting a nuclear weapon. So you're like, there's threats, there's all kinds of things going on. As far as the prophecies, have they come to pass? You can teach prophecy and see almost everything has come to pass. Now here's what, we really don't know if we're going to go through the tribulation. I don't believe that personally. Or if we're going to stop, I'm pretty sure we're not going to go all the way through, because you can show that in the Word of God. But we don't know if God's going to come back at the middle of the tribulation, so we're going to be in some of it, or if He's going to come back at the beginning. We really don't know. I mean, we have all kinds of, you can read the scriptures and see it, but we really don't know. So there's a time frame, even in His coming, that has this, the prophecies are fulfilled to where that the tribulation could start, and yet the prophecies are fulfilled, and Jesus could come, well, I kind of believe He's going to come before the tribulation. But see, in the tribulation, check this out, in the middle of the tribulation, the reason we kind of know today, everything gets told on TV. And see, you have that little time clock there. You can tell the day and time that it's being announced on CNN. And so in the middle of the tribulation, the Antichrist is going to have been shot. He's going to die. He's going to come back to life. And at that point, when he does, there's going to be an announcement made, and that's going to totally show when Jesus could come back. So there's so many ingredients that our technology has speeded up. So the prophecies are being shown, like almost recorded, which is, we would never imagine, my dad would have never imagined that happening. We were trying to like read in the paper, and now it's like documented time, minute, down to the minute. So you live, you are, we can prove this beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're the last days generation. You're the last days generation. That in your time frame, you will see the coming of the Lord. What does that mean? Maybe when you're 30, maybe when you're... So you have to live your life with that in mind. And so make your days count. It's not a good day to be living not for God. For a lot of reasons. First of all, it's dangerous and people pull you, and there's a lot of suicide up here. You know, you guys are noted for that. Well, you guys should change that. I think you should change it. I think that would be a good challenge. What if Camp Yukon begin to get a hold of God so much that when they go home, they begin to change their city? You say, Z, can that happen? Yes, it happens all the time. Right now there's camps all over the world. You're not the only camp. Check this out. There's about 9 camps going on in Dallas right now. There's camps going on all through America like that. They're going on in the Philippines. They're having their summer camp. Summer is summer. And your age group, a lot of them are in Christian camp somewhere. The power of God has fallen on them. The Holy Spirit has fallen. We're in the family of God. It's huge. And it's in different powerful things. I mean, I wish you could see some of those camps. That's what you need to do. You need to say, God, let me go see some things. You got to stop acting like you're trapped. How many of you say, well, I don't have any money? Yeah. How many in this team don't have any money? None. I go all over the world, I have no money. You're like, well, Lloyd, you got to have some money. No, I don't. I wished I did. There was a day I did. I was working at a huge church, Phoenix First Assembly in Phoenix, Arizona. I was like a right hand of my pastor. I'd been there 25 years, had $100,000 in the bank, owned my house, owned my cars, owned everything. Had money. Now, I went and started a new church, put everything I had in it, and I live from paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes I don't get a paycheck. Just like most of you. Why? It's the times. This is the time to go for broke. That's why I preached all in. This is the time to really give it. This is the day and age, because if we really know that Jesus is coming, I want my life to count. Instead of building a heritage here, I'm like, my son Israel and my daughter Shannon, they're going to see the coming of the Lord. So how much do I really need, how much stuff do I really need to leave them? But do you need to go and see a part of the worldwide revival? Yes. Do you need to have plans in your eyes to say, I'm going to ask God to take me some places? Honestly, when you get home, are you worried about rent? Yeah, me too. How about you? How much money you got? I know, because you always like, here's our rule. If any of us have money, all of us have money. So like Fernando will come, hey, you got something? And we're like, yeah, here. That's how we do. We're idiots. We're idiots. But I don't think we're that dumb, because I think I've seen some of y'all doing that. Oh, sorry. I've seen some of you use or whatever. I've seen some of you guys doing that, because that's kind of that community feeling once again, and that's we're doing it together. So I want you to know that the coming of the Lord could happen tonight. And you say, how the prophecies have been done. Have they all been fulfilled? We can't. Well, what does that mean? God knows that. So it's something that, is it completed? No, but has it come to pass? Yes. Is it finished? I don't know. That's why God will never let us know. He said, no man will ever know that. No man will ever know that. Should that mean that you put your life on hold? I really don't think so, because here's the reason we're here. Would you be happy to go to heaven and leave your mom and dad behind? Me neither. I have a son that I really want to see God do some great things in. I have a family member, a cousin that's really in bad shape, that really needs God. I have friends that are really like best friends, and they hate God. I don't want them to be left. Our job is to win them right now. So your mind is, do you need to become a doctor to do the thing that God's called you to be? Where do you need to go in your life? Do you need to start a fishing charter? Bring all the Americans up here and take them out and teach them, what's up, because they don't know. I mean, what do you got to do? Because you can't stop right now. You've got to be all about what God's told you to do, the Master's hand. So yes, we are in the last moments of the last days. And that's a guarantee. There's not one preacher that will not tell you that. If you say, how many of you say, I'm kind of interested in prophecy? Okay, then I got an idea. Why don't we have you start teaching? Why don't we send you some information and you share it with your friends? See, what you got to do is not take in information. God bless you. I like to. God bless you. Kazuhai. Blessings, honors, whatever you're supposed to do. The thing is, you take in information, you're supposed to give it out. And if you do, Pastor Rob, myself, we would love to equip somebody. If you're going to go home and you're going to say, I'm going to pull a group together and we're going to start studying prophecy, because these are the things that will keep you beyond camp. Look, you need to go home with the intention of, after camp, Pastor Rob and I was talking about this earlier, you need to go home with the intention of taking this home. Instead of like, I'm going home and I'm facing the hell, all the stuff. You're like, okay, do you go to church? Do you have church? Yeah. Well, do you go? No. Why? Well, go now. How about you say, I'm going to go home and I'm going to go to church. Then after church, when they have the old people's church or whatever, I'm going to pull 5 of my friends in the back room and we're going to study something. We're going to pray, or we're going to go out to like the pizza place and wreak havoc on people. We're going to pull them in. We're going to pull our friends in. What about the friends that didn't get to come? Don't you care about them? Don't you want to take this home to them? I mean, that's what we did. That's That's what the old school people, the OGs, that's how we roll, baby. We were your age and we would take it home. Camp would always go home with us. It's like you had camp, you packed it up, you put it right in your suitcase, you opened it up when you got home, you put your clothes back on the rack, you took the camp stuff out, put it in your heart, went to church, started ministering. Now listen, not everybody that comes to camp will go home. Some of them will go home and go, well, I'm not going to do that. Good. The fool has said in his heart, never mind. I didn't mean to call you a fool. That's all right, you fool. That's okay, because that's really stupid to say, come and get something and I'm going to be hardcore. Who are you punishing? You. You're punishing you, not everybody else. So if you take it home and you say, I'll just sit in there and I'm going to start bringing my friends. I immediately went home and got Bob Hemmond. If you believe Jesus is coming, how many of you know he's coming? You know it. I mean, because if you don't know it, you're one of the few people on the planet that don't. There's nobody who prays a prayer like we've been praying. There's nobody that comes and worships him with any realistic mind that studies the Bible. You know why you don't know? Because you don't study. You don't even look at it. So you're kind of like the ostrich that was on the stage that was trying so hard to be an ostrich and no one said ostrich, so she kept going and going. You're the ostrich that puts his head in the sand and his butt sticking up. You need to be kicked. I'm sorry. Okay, here's where we're going. Prophecies have been fulfilled. Say that. They have. My friend Jim Baker, I'm on his show all the time. That's all he teaches. I will send you a book if you promise to teach it to other people. Now, if you promise to teach it to other people, and that's the only way, I will send you a book. How many say, I will go back and go to church every Sunday. This is a commitment. I'm not sending you a book. No way. You're like, well, don't you care if I go to heaven? Yeah, but you won't even read it. I care. But I ain't got no money. I got to go buy these books and send them up here. You know what a pain in the butt that is? You know how many preachers want to do something? How many preachers make those promises? Not a whole lot, because they sit there and go, will they even use it? And I know that, so I'm going to tell you, if you want to study the end times, it's more than we can do in a 1-minute session. But I'll tell you this, I will send you a book that's very powerful in the end times. There's a book called The Harbingers. Wow, the Harbinger book, you've got to read it. Maybe I can even send the CDs. You've got a tool right here from this camp at home that if you use it, you take it home, Pastor Rob has put it on the internet, and you play some of the camp things to your friends, and then you discuss them. Pick your favorite service and play it, and then discuss it. And God will build it. I will send you a book. How many of you people say, okay, I will teach it. I will get at least 3 or 4 of my friends together at church, and I will start going, Pastor, can I meet right after the service and teach my friends and the youth the principles of prophecy? How many of you? And you're just going to read the book. The book, man, you guys are going to cost me a lot of money. All right. All right, I'm going to do that. Okay, so here's what you got to do. When we end this, look, if you don't get your book, then it's because Bozo did not listen right now to Ronald McDonald speaking. 2 clowns, me and you. I cannot send you this without your address, so you have to get that to Ashley. That's on you. Tag. You're it. You have to get the address to Ashley. Write it down. Say, I don't have a piece of paper. Bozo, I have to go buy a book. You have to get a piece of paper. Borrow a piece of paper. Find it. Write it on the back of your shirt. Tear your shirt off and give it to me. I don't care. Get her your address. I will send you this book. Now, I'm worried about your addresses. Do you guys know how to write your address? I'm serious. Some days I'm worried about it. Like junior high kids, especially scare me. I'm like, you know your address, right? Because they stare. Like if you don't know your address, then I'll send a couple extra to Pastor Rob. So just in case you're very rebellious, and you're just a jerk, and you didn't raise your hand, but you should have, then Pastor Rob will get some books, and then you can contact him. So you got 2 ways to get this. So if you miss the rapture, and I'm going up and I see you down there being chased by a polar bear or something, I'm gonna go, I told you, dude, you should have got the book. So this is an opportunity to teach somebody, and I'll send it. Ashley's like, how is he promising this? He ain't got no money. I will send you, because I have friends. I'm gonna call Jim Baker, I'm gonna cry on the phone. I'm going to say, Jeff, if you ever want me on your show again, you and Lori, I got your wife Lori for you. I did your wedding. I did your 2 daughters' wedding. If you love me at all, you will send me books for the people in Yukon. And he'll help me. Okay, next question.
Does God forgive all sins? How many times does God forgive?
Does God forgive all sin? Now the first night, remember when I told the story about Dylan and he asked me that same question? And I said yes. The Bible says that God forgives any sin. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God, but the gift of God is eternal life. Now, all have sinned and come short, and if we confess our sin, what? He forgives it. Now listen, what sins are we talking about? What sin do you wonder if God would forgive? What's the sin? What's your big sins in your youth group? In your world today, what's a sin too big for God? Anybody? Okay. Can God forgive murder? Okay, well, who in the Bible murdered somebody and became a man of God and changed the world? A bunch of them. A bunch of murderers. God loves murderers. He forgives them, changes them. Now, does that mean it's easy for the murderer? No. Guess what? They might go to jail. They might go to prison. God won't forgive them. Do you know there's a lot of murderers that I've met in prison when they lock the door behind you and you're sitting in the cell talking to them about God, who they're murderers and they got saved and they're holding Bible studies in the prison? Do you know that there was a guy at my church that would call his girlfriend, or she would call him because she's got to call in, call his girlfriend, they would play my sermons to him, they would play worship, and he would learn the songs while he was in prison. So they can't get out of prison because they did something wrong. But in prison, they're witnessing to other prisoners. Their community is prison now. So God won't protect you all the time if you do something wrong. His forgiveness won't erase everything you've done wrong. Do you realize if you forgive somebody and they've raped you, you don't have to be their friend, you just have to forgive them? Did you know that? When you forgive somebody, you don't have to, that doesn't mean you don't call the cops on them. They beat up your little son, you forgive them, and you call the cops and go, arrest this sucker and throw away the key. Now what does that mean? That means I've forgiven them, but they still carry the consequences of their actions. You need to know that. You need to know, because we think Christians are just the nice guys and they forgive you so you can walk on me. Heck no, that's not the principle of God. The principle of God is, you did something wrong, I'm going to pray my brother don't come over and shoot you in the head. Do you understand? Because he's not as forgiving as me. But I forgive you because I'm a Christian. And forgiveness is so that you don't... Let me tell you a story of forgiveness. Really important story. This lady... Okay, can God forgive all sin? I'm going to tell you a story because you guys seem to work better on stories. These are true stories. I have not told you jokes. I've told you true stories. Check this out. I met this lady. This lady lived in New York City, still does today. She lived in New York City. She went to the big church there. What's his name? The pastor, David Wilkerson's church. Thank you. I'm losing Halfheimers. Don't have Alzheimer's, but I'm getting halfway there. David Wilkerson has a church right in Times Square. I've been to his church many times. David Wilkerson stayed in my house, slept in my bed, and I just forgot his name. So I'm telling you, pretty bad. She went to his church, and she was walking back after a Wednesday night service. It was about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and she was walking through the park, huge park right there. And as she walked through the park, a man jumped out of the bushes, drug her in the bushes. She's a mother with 2 little kids and a husband, raped her, and beat her, and left her for dead. Somehow this lady came out of consciousness and crawled to the road, and she's naked, raped, bleeding, dirty, in New York City, man. She raised her hand up and flagged down a car, and the car stopped, and it was her attacker. And he got out and he beat her again, tried to kill her because he didn't want her telling on him. He drove away, and a cab saw it happening. He pulled over, put her in his cab, took her to the hospital, and months later, she recovered. When she recovered, they called, every day this lady would check in, they called for a psychologist to come, and the psychologist came and sat down with her, and she said, we need to forgive this man so that you can be sane. And the lady was, her face had been, she was just beaten really bad. So it's still healing. And she said these words, listen to these words. This lady's amazing. I have already forgiven him. He took one day of my life. I shall not give him another. See, when you don't forgive, you give them all the days from the time they hurt you till now. That's why God asks you to forgive. God says, forgive them. I've forgiven you. Just forgive them so you can live. You got other days. This thing, they probably forgot about it. They're out doing the next person. The guy that hurts you, girls, he tells you he loves you and he has sex with you and then he leaves you and he loves your cousin and then he loves a friend of yours and he just loves everybody. He's a lover, man. He's a lover of the world. Yeah, and he just loves them and leaves them. Or the girl that breaks your heart, or the father that tells you I'm there for you and he isn't, or the mother that, all those things about love. When you forgive them, they don't take any more days of your life. God gets the days of your life. And you can actually live your life. This lady now, she lost her husband. He couldn't handle the fact that she got raped and left her. She has her children. She has to raise them as a single mom. And you know what? She's flourishing. She's had a couple guys want to marry her, but she's like, I'm just cool right now. But she's so solid for God. Why? Forgiveness. So can God forgive all sin? Yeah, whatever you've done. What is it? What is it that you've done that's so bad that God hasn't already forgiven millions of people for it? What is it? We're all alike. People are pretty much alike. Whether you go to another country, you go, see, I did this to my mom, I did this to my father, I did this to my brothers. Everybody in my community knows the stain I am. Everybody knows that I did it bad. Now that's hard. When you live in a small place, everybody knows and they talk. But listen, everyone can know that you gave your life to God and that He forgave you and that you're a different man. And that's what's such a powerful testimony. Some of you say, I'm going to go home, and you don't know how they think of being home. Yeah, they think you're a wild kid. They think you're a little bit crazy. They think that you're definitely not saved. They think that. But if you come home and you show them the Spirit of God, you won't go to heaven alone. You'll take half the community with you. People will begin to believe in God. Is it hard? Yes, it's hard. But guess what? It's hard for you to sin, right? It wasn't easy when, it wasn't like you were having a party life and you came to camp and it sucks here. It doesn't suck where God's at. It's hard because life is hard, but my life don't suck. God gives me miracles every day, things that I don't even know to ask for. God can forgive all sin. Every sin you can think. Dylan killed his baby brother. He is a youth pastor doing a halfway house for hardcore at-risk kids. It's awesome. His wife loves him. His baby loves him. What is that? He had given up. He was just going to live his life going to juvenile court and sit in prison. Why? That's where the devil wants you. So the devil tells you you've done something so bad that God can't forgive it. Fernando, have you done drugs? I know his whole story. Have you had sex with girls out of wedlock? You've done some big things, huh? Do you know how powerhouse this guy is? Do you know how much he loves God and people? He's so far past that, he has to think about it. Yeah, that was a while ago. Does that mean he's perfect? No. This guy's serving God, and he literally goes everywhere on zero money. I mean, it's amazing. So, I don't know what your excuse is, but he defies it. He defies it. So defy it. Makes a difference.
How fast can God heal people? Can God really heal anything? Can God stop my dad's pain? God really can. To me, as far as healing, just because of having to watch it, is most of the time when we don't see it happen, it's just for the simple fact of lack of faith. And we don't ask. We hold it in so much because we're like, God, you can't. This is too petty. This is too small. Or sometimes we're like, God, this is too big. You know, it's I don't know. This seems impossible. But I mean, that's why I think like what Pastor Lloyd has been saying, it's so important to know your word. You know that God says that all things are possible, that He possesses that power. But the problem is sometimes we just don't ask. We don't have enough faith to just say, God, this is what I need. And I don't know how you're going to work it out, but I know that you can. I know before I left for my first year of master's, those couple months before I left were the hardest thing ever, because I had to get ready to leave after just taking my mom to the emergency room. We didn't know what was wrong with her. All of a sudden, she was just constantly dizzy, and she was sick, and she was like, I can't hear. And I'm supposed to just get up and leave and say, God, okay, I'm going to go do your work. I was like, I can't do that, God. You know, here I feel selfish. I've been asking for petty little, God, can you heal? You know, I don't want to wear contacts anymore, so God, can you heal my eyes? You know, and this is happening. And I just remember, like, days before having to leave, my mom was stuck in bed, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And I just remember nothing but fear and doubt coming over my mind. But before I left, I said, I can't live like this. God, I can't see my mom like this. I can't be constantly worried. If you're calling me to go do something great, then I can't be so stuck in my head in my doubt and my lack of faith that I can't trust you for her healing. And I remember it was just that final decision, that conscious decision that you make. It's all about when your heart and your mind connect. Because in my mind, I was like, this can't happen. There's no way. The doctors don't even know what it is. They can't identify what's going on with my mom. The only person that has been there for me, God, what the heck is going on? But my heart was like, God, I know that you can. So that final moment when I said, God, let my heart and my mind connect, I'm just going to trust you. As crazy as it may seem, I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to ask, God, can you please heal my mom? I just want to know that she's going to be okay when I leave, because I know I'm supposed to go. God, can you please just heal my mom and let her, she has to work, God, you know, and I let it all out. I let it all out. I'll be honest, I was still growing, so some of it, what I let out, I was probably cussing at God because I was mad, but I let it all out, and I said, God, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to have some faith in you to believe that you can heal her. And my mom took me to the airport and sent me off. She was healed, and she's still being healed. So can God heal everything? Yes. Even those things the doctors can't explain, can God heal it? Yes. But what we have to do, our part in it, the ones who are wanting to receive that, because my mom all the while was saying, I know God will. She couldn't even open her eyes. She said, I know God will. So I knew I had to, okay, Mom, if you're saying God will, I'm going to have to trust you. For us praying, God, can you heal? Can you take away my dad's pain? My job is to say, God, I'm going to step out on the faith that you've given me, and I'm going to trust that you're going to heal. As crazy it is, I don't function, God doesn't function in my mindset, in my thinking, and how I reason things to play out. God functions by His own ways. His ways are higher than our ways. So I'm not going to try to put you in a box and say, God, you're going to do it this way and this time, how I want to, when I want to. That's not how He works. So I'm not going to try to make Him work that way. But I'm going to say, God, I have enough faith to believe you're going to heal the smallest to the greatest of things, that I have a trust in you, a true trust in you. And He will. Because God honors that. He whispers those words of encouragement saying, there is nothing too big for me. I am bigger than it all. The enemy that seems so overwhelmed, I made him. So don't you think I can take on the things he throws at me? Yeah, God can take that stuff on. But I have to have that faith to believe. I have to have that faith to receive. I have to have that faith to give it out. If I'm trusting God to deliver you from whatever it is, I have to have that faith and know who my God is. So read your word. Know who your God is. So that when it's not hard, it's no longer a battle anymore for me to say, God, I know you can. I don't care if it seems crazy. That's no longer a thought, oh, this is crazy. No, I know you can. Because I know you. I've read your word. I've discovered who you are. So I can easily have faith to know you're going to heal. You're going to work it out. That good work that you started, it says it in Philippians 1:16, the good work that you started in me, you will bring to completion. That's not a promise to one person. That's a promise to every single one of His children. Every person sitting in here. But I have to have that faith to believe it will come to pass.
That's so good, because you ask, can God heal? Yes, definitely. There's a man named Larry Turner. God healed him of cancer. He's an ex-mafia guy, a big guy, owns a roofing company. God healed him of cancer, and everybody said, he's dead. He's gone. Big man, big, heavy, strong man. And God healed him of cancer. And God healed him because he believed. He just started saying, God's going to heal me. God's going to heal me. And people thought he was crazy. He's crazy. I remember laying my hands. I was riding in the back of a truck, and a can